All right, guys, let's talk about Sarah J. Maas. If you see my random and random videos, you know this came up. So, where I am with Sarah J. Maas is I finished all the books of ACOTAR so far. And I've read one of her Throne of Glass. I haven't gotten to Crescent City yet. I'm kind of seeing what people say about where you're going to need to be to read the ACOTAR books that are coming out. I am not with how I felt about the last ACOTAR book. I'm not in a rush to get them. I really want to see other people's opinions about those two books. Um, she's one of those authors, like, seeing the interview that she did with Call Me Daddy, which was a very good interview. I don't know who the girl is that runs that channel. If she's, I know she's been on YouTube for a long time, but this is like the first full interview I've ever seen of hers. Because I was seeing clips of what Sarah J. Maas was saying. I was like, okay, I wanted to watch the whole interview because she talks a lot about where her mental space was with these books and kind of why this happened, and some of the more concerning scenes from the ACOTAR series. Now, I I am somebody that reads a lot darker of fantasy and epic fantasy. Epic fantasy to me, like, gets away with a lot more than romantasy does just in general, unless you read dark romantasy, which is it's a whole different thing. But I can kind of understand why there's a couple of scenes, there's a couple of concepts that Sarah J. Maas writes that is very disturbing. Um, that depending on your background, you might be like, well, that's just kind of how life is. And I liked that she talked about um the whole Rhysand, and what is his name? Does it say in the back of the first book? Please say it's. This is the entertainment you guys come back for. Tamlin. Hey, look, and I did not get the black copies. I'm still in love with these colored copies. Um, and they and I loved that dynamic because it puts Tamlin in a bad light. This is my experience, and I finally feel like I can just talk about these books without just like talking about a single one, because I think on this channel I've only reviewed the last book. Maybe no, I think I did a maybe maybe I haven't really gotten to just gush about kind of how I feel about these books. I really do like these books. Now, after reading more and more romantasy, are they my favorites? Not really, but I kind of lean more towards a different type of fantasy. Like, and it's nothing against these books because I love these books so much. I really like Rhysand. I really like the Bat Boys. Um, I think I will really fall in love with Crescent City. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't like Crescent City actually more because I'm more of an urban fantasy than like Fei. Like fairies, they don't really interest me too much. but I could see, like, knowing some of the creatures that are in Crescent City, um, I could see where I'm at. Like, um, yeah, but I'm definitely putting Crescent City a little bit more in the urgency. I still have books 4 and 5 of Game of Thrones that I would like to finish this year. Um, Game of Thrones, like, all that's kind of gone the back burner because of the factor that I'm not following my physical TBR because I keep going to the library, I keep getting books. Um, I might get the 5th book of Game of Thrones at the library because they haven't brought in out an illustrated edition of it yet, and I don't know when. And those are like the easiest editions to read. So we'll see if that gets announced. If not, I don't like the audiobooks, so it's either go find a go buy a copy of the 5th book in something like I can actually read, which would be like either a big huge floppy paperback, um or a hardcover or something. I don't want to buy a book because I'm doing really good on my book buying ban, but I might have to buy that just so I can read it a little bit easier. I was mad at and this has nothing to do with anything, but yeah, but Crescent City is getting kicked. So if you like watch my channel more for the Game of Thrones, it might be put on pause. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be able, because I have plans to read Crescent City pretty soon after ACOTAR, because I knew you had to read. So here's the reading order that I have so far that I know you have to read. You have to read all of ACOTAR, and then you can just read Crescent City. I don't know if you have to read Throne of Glass. I know some readers are like, you have to read Throne of Glass. I know I'm going to get those from the library. I haven't been able to get my hands on another one recently. I really hope she didn't really answer it in the interview either. Like, I would have loved her to be like, okay, this is what you have to read to enjoy these books. But I'm like thinking at the same time, like, I don't really think she thinks that way. She just writes the books and then like people read them and then people are like, okay, this is what you have to read. It's not like Brandon Sanderson where like I think he writes his books with the thing of, okay, you have to read it in this order or something's going to be spoiled. If you want to, or you can just be like me and read like full series because that makes more sense to my little brain. Like, if I had to read anything in the order that anything wants me to read it, no. And I was not going to read Sarah J. Maas that way either. Because I see Court of Thorns and Roses as its own thing. Even though, like, you get. Can I spoil the third Crescent City book? We're spoiling something real quick that I know, and I'm like, and everybody's gonna be like, you haven't even read the books yet. I'm like, yeah. I've been on the internet and I watch a lot of romantasy people, and this is the main series that you hear about all the time is, either ACOTAR or Crescent City or Throne of Glass. Like, you're always hearing about Sarah J. Maas and her stories. So it's like, unless you're just like completely like, spoilers are bad, like, there is character cameos in the 3rd Crescent City book. But I'm like, okay, but if you just like Crescent City, like, do you really need to read ACOTAR for that? Not really. I know that's probably sacrilegious. But I'm like, Where are these characters from? Another series that you have to read now. Like, and that's kind of how I feel about Throne of Glass. I'm like, if there was just characters, I I'm not gonna rush Throne of Glass. Like, I don't own the books, so it's not like I can just grab them off my physical shelf and read them. I could probably listen to the audio. Sarah J. Maas doesn't have too bad of audiobooks to do, but I just like, I don't know. I'm an adult and I want to read books. I know that's just the thing, but I'm like, I feel like if I was gonna be into Throne of Glass, I would have read it way like during that time period, and I wasn't in that time period when it was coming out. Like I was so I don't know why I just magically picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses. I know I was like hearing about this book like everywhere. Um but somebody was like Beauty and the Beast and something. I was like, okay, I like that basics of a story. Like I'll pick this up and see what it's like. And I flew through it. I really do. I think the first book of ACOTAR is a masterpiece of retelling a story and putting a lot of agency and and talking about different things. Like to me the first 3 books are like a masterpiece. And then she starts getting really into the smutty stuff and I just but she said something that like really stuck out to me that um she was like my smutty scenes like are part of character development. And they are. Like she's not like any of those scenes like you don't want to skip over because they do have character development stuff. And you see a lot of Nesta's character development in the 4th book, even if you because that's to me is like the most steamy book that she's written so far that I've read. Um there's scenes in A Court of Wings and Ruin. A Court of Mist and Fury does not have that many. And then you start because I think you start getting Freya and she starts coming back to her own again. Um and then like A Court of Mist and Fury had a whole bunch. And I just like I have to give it to her. She's really good. She's very good at writing that type of stuff and she's really good at making it make sense for the story. It's not just in there. But it just depends on how you see those scenes. Like if you just see those scenes as ooh, like like scandalous, like sorry guys. Um like that's going to be a lot of book for you cuz like it's like I can understand people that just don't want their storytelling like that. And then that's probably why they don't like romantasy that much cuz there is a lot of storytelling and a lot of romantasy during those scenes. Um I can think of another really big example. Um Maybe in a fate inked in blood and a curse carved in bone, maybe they have some of that. They had some of that in Fire in the Sky, which is the first book is A Fire in the Sky and the second one. So there she but Sarah J. Maas to me is like the mother of romantasy. Like, she's the one that started this whole thing, and she took what we like from urban fantasy and paranormal romance and changed it into something a little bit more like a little bit more of like what we can put in as typical fantasy. Because urban fantasy and paranormal romance usually happens in modern time, with modern devices, like think your True Blood, your Laurel K. Hamilton books, like stuff like that, where romantasy, like they can go back to King Arthur or something, and sorry, and they can have stuff like that. And she, to me, comparable to some of the romantasy, is pretty light. Like, the relationships still matter in her books. Um, but it's at the same time, like, you still have very good character development on their own. Like, if you took Freya and like just had a story about Freya, like it would still be a good book. Um, is there an added bonus to have that romance with Rhysand? Yes, because Rhysand is incredible. He's a credible male character. And Tamlin has his moments where it's like you needed Tamlin to exist to show how good Rhysand is. And it was kind of interesting if, because she was asked like if Tamlin would ever get a redemption arc. I get where she comes from, and I kind of really hope he doesn't. I really hope he gets to wallow in self-pity on his own, and because like I can still feel Freya feeling sorry for him, and I understand like what went down under the mountain, which is in the first, like the end of the first book, terrorized everybody. Like, it terrorized Rhysand, it terrorized Freya, and it terrorized Tamlin. But Tamlin is just the one that just can't get over it and is having his issues with it. And it makes him very abusive. So it's just like, can you redeem that? Yes. Like, if she wanted to redeem Tamlin, she easily could. Like, I think he still has some good traits and everything. Now, should she? That's really up to what she wants to do with the story. Um, he could like I don't think like he did bad things. And this could be like more of the darker romantasy that I'm like, well, is he really that bad? Because that dude over there, like he did bad things, but it's not something I feel like can't be redeemed. But I feel like at the same time, like if your audience like took that story as how they took it, I could understand why you wouldn't want to redeem him. Now, you can redeem him maybe in another way where it's not like he's redeemed in Freya's eyes, but he's redeemed as in society or something. Like you could show that he's trying to build his court back up and stuff like that and redeem him in that way, but Freya still doesn't forgive him for what he did. Um And that's what I think could be an interesting kind of way to handle it is he doesn't, and that's what I think would break people more than him just trying to rebuild his kingdom and trying to, get back what he lost. Because that could still be selfish needs and stuff like that. Like, do I ever want him to be with another woman? Not really. Like, rebuild your court all you want, but do I really want you to be with another woman? No, because you don't seem like you're stable yet. Like, the courts, do they have counseling? Maybe. It's because everybody feels like they need counseling in this world. Like, that's like end all be all. Everybody just needs counseling. They just need some fairy counseling. But, and that was kind of the thing I got from Sarah J. Maas is she takes a lot of what she's gone through and creates these characters. So I could understand, like, you're in a dark place. Like, I've written a lot of stuff, like, when I'm going through stuff that I probably wouldn't have written it like that now. So it would have been interesting, like, if she was in, like, a happier place in some of these situations, like, what would have happened? It's kind of like, she talks about the pregnancy thing. And this hit me really hard without being somebody that's ever experienced this. And I don't really have a desire to, unfortunately. But it's the scary thought of going through that. Like, and I don't think society talks about it enough. And having somebody that sounds like her first doctor was terrible. And then having the second one, like, understand her a lot better and everything. Like, it's just, it hit me really hard because us as society, like, I don't think we talk about it enough. And we don't talk about what the aftercare looks like because she was talking about how her editors, like, wanted her to rush one of her books. I think it was one of the Throne of Glass books because I didn't recognize the title. But, like, she was talking about, like, all the emotional struggles. Like, yeah, like, as a writer, like, I could understand why she couldn't write a happy pregnancy story. Because it's like, she didn't go through that. Like, you write what you know. So, you're not going to write something happy like that. Now, what I think is interesting is I'm gonna say Laura, like, my goodness, who wrote the Twilight? I don't know. It'll come to me. But Twilight had a similar story, and I don't remember her getting as much criticism as Sarah J. Maas does. Supposedly. I didn't even know that was a thing. I just read the book. I reviewed it. I don't even think I even mentioned it. I'm mentioning it now. It didn't... With the characters, their personality, it fits. Like, I can understand why Rhysand did not just sit Farah down and be like, hey, this is everything that's going to happen, and oh, this is going to happen. Like, it doesn't fit with his character, because he's very protective. She's, like, all happy and giddy about it. And it's not like his character to ruin that for her. But it's Nesta's character to do that. Like the scenes to me Like, and then are you more mad at Nesta? Yeah. Like, I was kind of mad at Nesta. I was like, she's happy. Like, you know, and was she gonna get, like, no. Wasn't gonna change anything. You just upset her. Nice going, Nesta. Like, and that's what it felt like when I was reading it. Like, I wasn't mad at Rhysand, really. Sorry, guys, for the background noise. That was scary. Um, I wasn't really mad at Rhysand at that point because I felt like, well, like, it fits his character, like, and, like, why tell her something like that may or may not happen? You know, and that was like my thing too. Like she could have survived the whole thing, been okay, and then you're just freaking her out the whole time. Like it just I don't know. Like and I'm glad she got to say her piece on that and everything. I think that's something that we as an audience sometimes like we read scenes from books and we really don't get the back context. Um it's something that I wish we could get a lot more like author like interviews like Sarah J Maas because like some of the like there's always like scenes and stuff like I would love to talk like ask that author. Like I would love to talk to Livy Blake about Atlas 6 and like things, but it was really cool to see Sarah J Maas like in her full form. Like she's definitely really excited about these next three books. Two books have a date. I think there's a third book afterwards that doesn't have a date yet. But she's definitely excited about the new arc, which kind of makes me kind of excited. Depending on what direction she takes it, she might be doing a full. She might not be just focusing on one couple. Maybe she's finally like maybe she's gonna do it as like more of a family dynamic, which I would love. I would love if she ever got to the point in this story that she got to do it as like a full uh just dynamic. Um yeah, like I think that would be cool. That's where I kind of wish the story would go, but I think it's going to probably be the last sister story. And maybe a little bit more of Nesta's. We might get more of maybe split the two. Cause you could totally like when I was reading and she introduced the sisters back into the story, I was like, we're doing kind of like a typical romantasy where they're all gonna get a couple and we have to go through each story. And I was like, I was just and that part to me that was the part that bugged me the most because it was like that's where all her mental anguish began, and then to put her through that again with her sisters, um and I understand like Sarah J Maas wanting to write like kind of their redemption arc. Like if we have Tamlin's redemption arc, this is just a redemption arc story, and I'm not completely into that. I think we're allowed to have people that we just don't want to root for. And I didn't get the whole Tamlin thing to begin with, and I don't know if that's because like I knew a little bit going into it that he was going to not be great, but I feel like you don't get the full impact of just knowing the story. Um So just knowing the story, like when you read A Court of Mist and Fury, like it really hits you more than just, knowing the plot points. So yeah, I'm not a big Tamlin fan. I don't think he should get a redemption arc. I would like him to rebuild, or for them to have another person ruling. Like maybe that's what needs to really happen, is he just needs to get kicked out, have somebody else rule for him, and he goes and gets some major therapy. Maybe he can come back. Cuz I would, or Rhysand takes that area over or something. His poor people. And that's all I can think of when I think of the whole Tamlin situation. Is like, obviously I think of all the abuse that he did to Freya, don't get me wrong, but like all I can think of is his poor people that have to be ruled underneath him, and he's just having his mopey fest, and I'm like, yeah, can we help them out here? Can we just not? Thanks. Well, anyway, thank you. I am so thankful for all the support I've gotten for a lot of my videos recently. Thank you so much. Thank you to all my subscribers, anybody that likes my video, anybody that watches any of my videos. Um, I'm just thankful. Um, I'm building this channel, but I'm building it the way it's gonna be built. If you know, maybe by one day, like I will get my 1,000 subscribers and I can be monetized eventually. But right now, I'm just happy to come on here and talk about just stuff with everybody. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.